We are Project Up, and you're listening to Not Just a Kid. A dynamic individual who adorns her forehead with a bindi at all times because she believes it stands for flexibility and fluidity. She's paving her path towards success and happiness by carrying out small acts of kindness, which have a ripple effect on humanity. She's a civil services aspirant and a passionate public speaker who has worked extensively towards building a strong foundation on which our society resides through her belief in practical spirituality. We are pleased to have Niharika on board for the third episode of Not Just a Kid. Hi Niharika, we're really excited to have you for this podcast. So, well, you graduated school just this year and your board exam had to get cancelled because of the pandemic. It must have been really hard for you, but what's your take on the cancellation of the exams? And as we know how crucial grade 12 can be, so how did you navigate your way around the entire scenario?
Hi. So thank you. I think the very fact that I understood at the very start that it's not possible to conduct board examinations offline, considering that we were going through a terrible phase, all those COVID numbers every day in the newspapers and the headlines. So it wasn't even possible. So then one day I decided, look, they might conduct offline examinations and I got to do something. So I was always against the board examinations being conducted in a physical scenario. So then I started this entire campaign that we need to cancel. Then one day I was sitting and I thought, why not? Because I've been doing content creation, video content creation for long. Why not record a video and do that? Because my friends and us and all of us have been talking about it, that we need to get exams cancelled and we need to contribute some way or the other. So then I decided, let me record a video. I uploaded it and surprisingly, my friends started sharing it only because everybody resonated with the idea and all of us, had the very same problems with it, considering that we've been going through a very uncertain time. We've not been given clarity about what is going to happen in the next month. Will we have exams or we won't have them? Do we prepare? We don't. So there was a lot of, uncertainty about it. And it somehow reached, I don't know who all, and it got featured in a lot of newspapers. And then people started noticing. And then when others also joined the campaign for the cancellation of the board examinations, and then it reached, it made to the national headlines. People started contributing. The news channels started telecasting their own campaign about how it should get cancelled. So we did have it, and then I was very happy because that was for me a very logical decision, and it should have been done. I did not really encounter a huge problem because of the cancellation, considering that colleges were very cooperative. They had their entrances. I gave college entrances and various application-based admissions that we had. So I got into various universities before the board examinations and the entire thing was declared. But of course, the DU thing, everybody wants to get into the Delhi University. So there was a lot of uncertainty. But I decided to get into colleges that had their admissions entrance based. So it wasn't a huge problem for me. And it was great how colleges also cooperated and did not really require board examinations marks to be considered for admissions.
Fair enough, fair enough. So this definitely was a surprise for you that your video took like a great toll and reached a lot of people out there. So you also mentioned about the video content creation that you initially used to do before you actually prepared this video. So would you like to tell me what kind of video content creation were you involved in previously?
Yeah, so this is something that I'm really passionate about. I have been a public speaker. I've been into declamations and debates ever since I think since fourth grade or something. So I was very passionate about it. So one day, at the very outset of the pandemic, I decided that, at the very onset of the pandemic, I decided that I need to do something. I mean, I used to talk to my friends and they used to say that they're not able to do something, they're getting bored due to the pandemic, there's nothing that's left. So I decided, why not create a video? Now I'm talking to all my friends, why not talk to all people at once and create a video and let my message be there, like on Instagram. So then I decided and I recorded a video I'd love to, this was one video that was about productivity. Then I started thinking that every kind of thought that comes to my mind, I can also put it out there on Instagram if it helps anyone, even if it helps one person. So I started making videos on how nature, we're so happy about the nature, and this makes us realize that most of the pollution and most of the climate change was caused due to humans. And now we see nature flourishing, we see clear skies. So everything that came to my mind, and I felt like it's meaningful enough to be put out on Instagram or on the other social media platforms. I used to do it through content creation, and I used to really enjoy doing that. So that's how I started, and then I felt that board examinations thing, instead of writing something which is not even my forte, let's just create a video and get my message across.
Wow, that's really amazing. And the fact that you mentioned that your video, even if they impact just one life, this is precisely what Project Up works on. We try our level best to impact just one life at a time. Even if it's just one life out of 100, we have created the impact, and that's something that's extremely satisfactory for us. So I'm sure I completely get you when you say that. So Niharika, and while we're on that topic, so I would like to know other views. The digitalization of education has led to students your age facing academics related stressors like never before. So in the last 1 year, have you learned to deal with that, and what would you say has helped you the most, since you just mentioned about your college, and of course like most of the colleges have been extremely cooperative. So what's your take on that?
So in the past 1 year, of course, there's been a lot of stress due to, I was in class 12, so there was a lot of academic related stress that I had. But I decided on doing things that I'm passionate about. And of course, when you do what you love to do, you don't really get tired. So I started with video content creation. I really like doing that. I'm someone who loves to give motivation to myself and to others. So that's something that I really like to do. I did that on Instagram. And then we were involved in a lot of social work. Me and my father run a committee here where I helped my father with social work. We used to distribute grocery kits to slums. I think we covered more than 200 slums. Then we donated PPE kits. Then we also organized a blood donation camp. So all of this that we used to do, it used to really satisfy me and had a very fulfilling feeling. Then along with studying, of course it was class 12, so I had to study a lot. I realized that I am considering it all like a productivity contest and not just a pandemic. And then my friends and I, we used to talk in how everybody is dealing through so much stress, so much anxiety. I need to do something about it. So me and my friends were in a conversation one day, and we decided, we're talking this way, let's get it to social media. Let's create an organization where we're able to very freely engage in conversations about mental health, since we're all dealing with the same, and we see that it's not something that's freely talked about. There's a lot of stigma attached to it, that if you're someone going through any kind of mental health problem, then you're weak, which is just not the case. So that's how we decided about it. We founded the Shunya project. Initially, we were asking for people to submit anonymously, or if they want to give, if they want credits for the same, we used to ask them to submit their poems or write-ups or anything that they'd feel good sharing. So that's how we came up with the name also, the Shunya. So Shunya means emptiness, and when you let out what is inside, you feel Shunya, you feel good. You feel like, okay, now my heart's not heavy, and then I can, function very well. Then we revived it. We started dealing with mental health issues. We try to address them. We try to gather as much information as we can and try to spread awareness around the same. So the Shunya project is still ongoing, and it's something that has also helped me the most, because during the entire thing, initially I also found it as a productivity contest, trying to just considering this as a race and trying to innovate and trying to create as much as I can, more than the others, so capitalize my time. So then the Shunya project helped me the most that way. It made me a little more empathetic. So that's something that has been great for me. Besides that, I have been a part of, so I just mentioned how I absolutely love public speaking. So I got a part of panel discussions and fellowships. So past 1 year for me has been a beautiful ride. Obviously, it has been tragic, and I am not, I don't want to ignore the fact that it's been definitely very tragic for all of us. But then I think that when it comes to academic kind of stress and other stress, I've avoided it and kind of it has been overpowered due to my love for what I do. So I've been doing everything that I'm passionate about, and then of course I don't feel tired, and it acts as a stress buster for me.
That's so true. You never feel tired when you definitely love something. And your love for your work is commendable, Niharika. You mentioned about this Shuni project. The name and the meaning of how it stemmed out is something I am really in awe of. This is so beautiful. So, Niharika, you mentioned that you absolutely love public speaking. So, do you plan on taking up that as your career in the future, or do you plan to do something really different? Or of course, I'm sure you want to continue the Shunya project now. Since I would suggest you please do, and we at Project App we're going to make any effort to make it successful for you. We'll contribute in our own capacity as much as we can. But what's up with your career later on? What do you plan to do?
Yeah, thank you so much for the kind words. I'm so flattered, and I'm thankful that you guys are up for promoting and supporting good things. So I will definitely continue with the Shunya project, but as a career, I am a UPSC aspirant, and I talked about how I'd really like to give back to the society, and I feel like UPSC in civil service is great as a career for me that way. I consider it more as social service instead of something very professional. So I definitely want to continue with that, but public speaking is where my heart is. So I would never leave that, and even no matter what I become in life, I'm going to continue with it through my social media. I realized the power of social media during the pandemic, so I'm definitely going to utilize that. So yeah, that's about it. I think I will continue with Shunya project too, and public speaking is definitely my first love, so it's not going anywhere.
Beautiful, beautiful. I absolutely in awe of it. This is super amazing. Of course, like I would suggest you please don't ever stop creating content, and don't ever leave public speaking, because it's amazing. It's making you who you are. So that's really awesome. A lot of what you talk about, Niharika, has got to do with paying back to society, which is beautiful. So we would love to know where this interest roots from. Like, is there a particular moment in your life or a conversation with someone that helped you realize that this was your calling?
Um, every time I think about it, I'm reminded of one conversation, definitely. So I was in conversation with one of the NSUI leaders, and I don't want to name this person because I don't have consent to, but I was I was in conversation with him, and he told me one line that has stayed with me. He said that everyone wants the cake, but no one wants to bake it. And that's when I realized that that is actually the case. Everyone around me, including myself, we talk about change. Oh my god, this thing isn't working. Look at this. The government should have done this, or the people around should have done this. Why is this happening? Lots of complaints, but no solutions. So that's when I decided that, look, if I'm able to do something, and if I'm able to contribute to the society and to change in any way possible, let me be up for it. And let me not be the one who just wants the cake and does not want to bake it. So that's when I decided that this is, I have to help people, help myself, help people, and pay back to the society this way. So this conversation has really been one that stood out for me.
Commendable, commendable. I completely agree with what the person says and your point of view on that. This is super inspiring. It's inspiring for me, and I'm sure this is going to be inspiring for the viewers and the listeners too. Apart from being knee deep in meaningful work, Niharika, I'm sure you must be having few personal interests that keep you grounded. So, would you like to share them with us?
Yeah. So, okay, frankly speaking, I told you I'm a UPSC aspirant, so a lot of my time is about, oh my god, I have to gather as much information as I can. I'm already, I'm already very near to my goal, so I need to do that. So a lot of time goes into that, then studying, then doing whatever I mentioned, So it takes a lot of time, and I'm left with very little of what I have in the day. So one thing that is the one thing that I take time out for, and also something that has been a personal interest in, something that keeps me grounded all the time, is spirituality. So my ever since I was born, I have been in an environment that's been very spiritually involved. So spirituality, of course, keeps me grounded. It keeps me connected to my roots. So it motivates me to, stand upright despite all odds. I always supported this with an example, एक ट्री होता है, सो वो ट्री जितना मर्जी लंबा हो जाए, पर इफ़ उसकी रूट स्ट्रॉन्ग है, देन इट्स गोइंग टू, कोई भी स्टॉर्म आ जाए, कुछ भी आ जाए, इट विल स्टैंड अप राइट, अगर उसकी रूट्स बहुत पक्की हैं, रूट्स बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग है. And that is what spirituality does to me. It keeps me connected to the roots. It keeps me very humble. कि नहीं, no matter how much you achieve, Niharika, you have to stay grounded. You have to stay humble, and humility has to be with you. It keeps me balanced. So I think spirituality मेरे लिए हमेशा एक personal interest ही नहीं. It is a part of my life and a way of living for me.
This foundation that you are revolving your life around is, I don't have any word, but like inspiring is the only word that I can come across. But this is a very small word. This is so important for us as a human being to realize that no matter what height we reach, we need to keep our roots strong and grounded all the time. Niharika, you mentioned about this spirituality context. Would you like to tell me what kind of spiritual activities are you involved in? Is it like journaling, meditation? What exactly in spirituality? Probably even praying. So I would love to know that.
So we're mostly involved in meditation, and also we feel that practical spirituality is the most important thing to do. We see that a lot of times humans today lack something as basic as humanity, which is very shocking. So we feel that practical spirituality is the way to go about it. So everything that you learn about, say, tolerance, so you learn about patience and loving everyone, humility, anything, you got to practice it in reality. So practical spirituality is something that stands out for me even more than meditation and the rest of the things. So it makes me a better human. Definitely, practical spirituality is something that I mean when I talk about spirituality.
That makes sense. That's definitely new to me when it comes to spirituality, but that makes sense. That makes very, very sense. And since you mentioned that your family also promotes this idea, and like you have been brought up in this environment which is spiritually connected, that's beautiful. Niharika, knowing that your parents have always been supportive of your interests, considering that you and your father together started a committee, that is really amazing to hear. But that's not always the case with a lot of kids. So is there something you would like to tell out of your personal experience that worked really for you in order to have your parents' support, that perhaps even works for some other kid listening to the podcast today?
So firstly, I am very thankful for, I have a beautiful family and parents who supported me, no matter if they, if my beliefs are, or resonate with them on a personal level, because of course there is a generation gap, but they've always understood what I stand for and what I believe in. So for kids who are watching the podcast, firstly, it is very important to communicate. So the first thing is to communicate with yourself. What is your idea? What do you stand for? And do you have a plan? Is it like a baseless idea, or does it have a base? So you got to communicate with yourself and make it clear to yourself before you communicate with your parents. And then, a lot of times I've noticed, that's something that I used to do too, but then I stopped doing it. We don't very patiently explain to our parents what our idea is and what we're trying to do through our work. When you explain it to them, parents always want the best for you. They will always support you. If they feel that your idea is something that can help people or can contribute to some kind of positive change, they will always support it. So there is this thing, so if you very patiently explain it to them, it will work out. But before that, please make it clear that you've got to have a huge plan. You've got to have like a concrete idea and not just something very baseless. So I'm sure parents always want good for us and the best for us. So they will support you if you explain it to them well. But for parents, I am sure there must be a few parents also watching the podcast. Please give your kids a patient ear and give them the wings to fly. The youth is the future, and I'm sure we can do so much if we have the freedom to do it. and parents are number one when it comes to support, and it is only with their support that we as kids can do something. So this is one thing that I can say. But I have been very thankful for parents and the family that has always supported me. But I've always explained it very patiently to them, and then only has that kind of support has come to me. So that is something that I'd like to say to the kids and parents watching.
Well, honestly, I was smiling throughout this when you were addressing it, when you were mentioning this. This is so important. A message that goes for the kids and for the parents at the same time, and that's really important. The best thing that you mentioned was communication and being sorted within ourselves before we reach out to our parents with what we want to do in future. So that makes complete sense to me. Niharika, this conversation was absolutely inspiring and full of warmth. I highly appreciate this, and I thank you. Thank you so much on behalf of Project Up. I wish you all the luck for future. May your Shunya project keep on rising, and may you become the best civil servant out there and serve the society in the best possible manner. And may you also always continue with your public speaking.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So we had Niharika for the third episode of our podcast. We hope you were equally inspired by this conversation. Please make sure you follow us on our social media and stay tuned for upcoming episode. And let's always be kind, because it's the heart that matters.